Hi guys, it's Dora. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. Today is a super exciting video because I'm finally doing another Twilight themed video too, actually, because this is a collaboration with my friend here on YouTube named Olivia. I'll let her introduce herself and her channel in a little bit, but I first just want to say I'm so excited to do a Twilight themed video today. I've already filmed my clips for her video over on her channel. Me and Olivia are both going to be reacting to negative Twilight and Midnight Sun reviews. I had my boyfriend pick out the best reviews for each book. I just don't know what to expect, and I don't trust him, in all honesty. I see negative reviews about Twilight all the time, and a lot of them I don't agree with. Some of them I do kind of agree with parts to the review, but people are just really harsh towards the saga, so I don't know what to expect. I don't know what my reactions will be, and I've not seen any reviews over Midnight Sun yet. I just have my own review, and I know how Olivia felt. After you are done watching this video, be sure to go over to Olivia's channel and check out the video we did. We are picking out book, TV show, and movie recommendations based on each Cullen family member, and it was a lot of fun. You know, I had to do Edward and Carlisle because they're my favorite characters. I also did Rosalie, who's another favorite character, and Bella and Jasper, and then Olivia did the rest of the Cullens. But yeah, that was a lot of fun, so just be sure to go check out that video over on her channel, and I'll let her go ahead and introduce herself.
Hello, so I'm Olivia from That Fiction Life, and I talk about books, films, and TV shows over on my channel, and the Twilight series definitely was a big part of that this year because of Midnight Sun coming out, and it was a journey going back to the series. And I think a big part of being a Twilight fan is loving to hate on it at the same time. So I'm very excited for this video and to read the bad reviews that Story has lined up.
Alright, so I have my laptop right here. That's my dog. He knows better than anyone how I feel about the Twilight saga, so I know he's probably gonna break my heart. Okay, if you don't know, people who review on Goodreads leave really long reviews, so some of these are kind of long, some of them are shorter. Yeah, let's just start. I'm so nervous about this.
So the first review, 1 star, we're off to a terrific start.
All right, our first 1-star review is from Annette. She says, okay, I know that I'm going to offend a lot of people with this review. Yikes. But I feel that I have to be honest about this. There are quite a few things that bother me about this book. I will only list the top 5 here. Bella. She is the exact character that I do not want my daughters to have as a role model. She's a sighing, swooning, fainting, weeping, weak female character straight out of the 19th century. This is the 21st century, people. Do we want to raise a generation of namby-pamby young women who can't stand on their own 2 feet? So, I'm a bit confused by this because, like, Bella faints a lot because she's like a weak stomach. Like, she just faints a lot. It's just part of her character. I mean, I guess that does mean she's like weak, but I feel like that's more of like a biological thing, and I don't feel like someone's daughter would be in that same scenario. I mean, she is kind of the princess that always needs saving, if that's what this person means, but I don't think she really explained it well. Edward, this is the kind of guy that I warn my daughters to stay away from. The guy sneaks into her room and watches her sleep. Does anyone else see anything creepy about this? He's obsessed with rescuing her, and he thinks that if he doesn't follow her around 24/7, that she'll get herself into a dangerous situation that she can't handle. Does anyone else see anything creepy about this? Girl, yes, we all know that this is not okay, that this is creepy. You probably haven't read Midnight Sun, but Edward is psychotic. He's very obsessed with Bella. Bella's very obsessed with him.
I see you, Annette. I agree. Okay, here's the thing. Story is going to kill me. Edward, he has issues. Boy needs to go to therapy because watching people sleep, I genuinely, as a person, have trust issues, and if someone watched me sleep,
I don't know if it's quite a healthy relationship, but it seems like this review is solely based on her daughter, it seems like. 3, the relationship. This is a textbook case of codependency if I ever saw one. They hardly know each other, but suddenly they can't live without each other. The dialogue is like something straight out of Harley Quinn. Ugh, I think that young people have enough trouble knowing the difference between love and lust, and this book does not help.
I don't think it's codependent per se. I mean, I read this series as a teen and I had no issues between the love and the lust. I just think it's a really entertaining series, and I live for the kind of insta-love moments because, especially in your teens, I think it's fun to read about, and it personally didn't affect my view on relationships. And this is supposed to be a romance, so it's supposed to be sort of like a Harlequin novel in a way.
Again, I do agree. I could sit here and talk about Twilight being problematic all I want to. I read Twilight for entertainment. I still, like when I reread Twilight, it was for entertainment. I'm able to know that. I see how young girls might not though. I see people saying all the time, oh, I wish I had a relationship like this. I think they're just meaning, I wish I intensely loved someone this much. Because when I read it at 13 years old, I didn't think, oh, this is so problematic, I'm seeing all the flaws, but at the same time, like, I didn't act on anything after this book. It's not like I went after a guy that was stalking me, you know what I mean? I still had, I guess, like, common sense. I hope I don't offend people out there. I feel like I am gonna offend the Twilight people and the non-Twilight people. And this might just be a very controversial video we have on our hands. It's like, Edward's good looks are all that matters. Personality is not important. Bella must be good looking too. Why else would a 100-year-old vampire be interested in a 17-year-old girl?
Too much emphasis on appearance. Have you ever watched a CW show? I mean, that's the whole brand. I mean, this Twilight isn't the first time. Appearances are a big part of falling in love, whether you want to say it or not. Here's the thing, Bella doesn't think that she is the most beautiful creature on the history of the planet. That's how Edward sees her, you know? They both have to find each other attractive. This is a romance book. You are supposed to be attracted to the person. So if you have Bella saying that Edward is hot as hell, why is that a bad thing? And vice versa in Midnight Sun, of course Edward is going to idolize Bella and put her on a big pedestal because they're falling in love.
Personality leaves much to be desired, so we know it's not that. So on Edward's side, it actually isn't just the beauty, because when he first sees her, he doesn't see her as anything different from other female girls. But Bella's case, yeah, he's supposed to be this like godlike creature. I don't know, I feel like a lot of relationships are like this. See them for the first time, we're attracted to them, and then we go off of that. So how is this really any different? But yeah, I do get what she's saying, I guess.
Her personality leaves much to be desired. Did we read the same book? Bella is sassy as hell. She is really independent and she does have a lot of great personality traits, especially when you read Midnight Sun and you see Edward noticing all the good deeds she's doing. She's really selfless. I maybe may see where you're coming from just Twilight's perspective, but in Midnight Sun we definitely saw Edward focusing on everything other than the way she looks. So yeah, that's wrong.
5. The comparison between this series and the Harry Potter series. Why? 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 I also talked about this in Olivia's video. Why must we compare Twilight to Harry Potter? Is it because it got an equal amount of success as Harry Potter? It was a series of books that people were waiting to come out, and it was like this fantasy, young adult, like child, you know, series. Why must we compare the two? They're two different things. I love them both each for what they are. Why can't everyone else? Ugh.
The comparison between the series and the Harry Potter series. This isn't Harry Potter, but it's not supposed to be.
If I were J.K. Rowling, I would be offended that people are comparing the Twilight series with the Harry Potter series. She spelled her name wrong. Stephenie Meyer, why does everyone spell her name wrong? Stephenie Meyer's writing is not up to par with J.K. Rowling, not even close. So this review literally says she hates when they're being compared, yet what did she just do? Didn't she just compare them? She compared the authors and the books. I don't know. I don't think Stephenie Meyer's writing is amazing, but I do think she has grown as a writer as she's gotten older. So yes, Twilight, not amazing writing, but I still love it for what it is because of the nostalgia. The worst thing about this book is that it's so hugely popular. There are thousands of young girls all over the nation who are swooning over Edward and wishing that they could be just like Bella. Gag. Truly think that this book is a detriment to society. There's a lot more I could say, but I think that I've offended enough people. This girl is definitely talking about the problematic side of Twilight, and if you can't see past that, you know, read it as a young adult or adult and not cringe at what you're supposed to cringe at, then yeah, I totally get it. Like, I totally understand why people talk about how problematic it is, and I think that's the big thing with discussing it on YouTube is that Twilight lovers can't find YouTubers out there, such as myself, because everyone just hates on it so much, and they treat people that like Twilight like they're dummies. They don't read good literature, and I don't agree with that. I think you can read whatever you want, and I don't have an opinion on it. Like, if you want want to read the Throne of Glass series, even though I've heard it's absolute trash, go ahead. I'm not gonna say you're trash, or if I did read it and thought it was trash, I'm still not going to say you are trash. People are mean on the internet, and if you like Twilight, you freaking go, girl or boy. Watch the movies 1,000 times, buy all the merchandise you want, read the books a million times because you love it. I'm getting passionate about this now, but you love it. Enjoy what you love. Smother yourself in things that you love because it's gonna make you happy, and don't listen to what other people say. That's how I feel about that.
Review number 2. So here, Matt says, there are so many problems with this book that I can't even begin to address them all. But I will say this, Twilight is probably one of the worst, if not the worst books I've ever read. The writing is amateurish, that's not a word, so if you're gonna criticize the writing, just saying. At best, cliche stereotypes, purple prose. How can anyone applaud May's prose is puzzling. The editing, or lack thereof, is appalling. This is a 200-page novel, no more and probably less. The grammar and syntax are unforgivably bad. The plot is onion skin thin, and the characters are uniformly dull and uninspiring. Okay.
There definitely are like cliches and stereotypes. Yeah, this is kind of the birth of YA fantasy. The lack of editing is appalling. There could have been more rounds of edit. Yeah, that's fine. The grammar and syntax are unforgivably bad. I don't think the grammar's bad, but if you're just saying like the writing isn't good to you, I can give you that as well. I don't think the writing is amazing in my opinion, but it definitely intrigues me. The plot is onion thin. Twilight and Midnight Sun, I do agree. If you're not invested in the relationship of Bella and Edward, then you're not really invested in the story because the plot isn't much. It's almost like she had to add some danger in there just for something to happen other than this love story. But we all know that the Twilight Saga is an epic fantasy paranormal love story. So take it for what it is.
It's hard to imagine how so many people get suckered into this book. The novel's protagonist, Bella Swan, really is a complete idiot. She has no dreams, no motivations, no ambitions, no hopes, no goals, and not a single original thought of her own.
She's 17 years old, and sure, there's not a lot to her, but it's because most of her character is internal. For example, like her protectiveness, her selflessness, her knowledge, it's a lot of internal. So I totally get it. She has no dreams, no motivations, no ambitions, no hopes, no goals. That's kind of a lot of adjectives that are just saying the same thing. But yeah, she's a young teenager. Does she have to at that age? She doesn't even know if she wants to go to college yet.
She spends 500 pages spewing endless platitudes and commenting on Edward's perfect face, amber eyes, and perfectly muscled chest. She constantly wonders why Edward, a 100-year-old domineering vampire, wants her. Apparently she's the only one who doesn't realize how beautiful she is. Too bad, so sad.
Yeah, this is not false. She's very obsessed with him. I think it's a very good representation of your first love because you've never felt infatuation before, you've never felt love before, so it comes on very strong and very intensely, and it's definitely an obsession. So yeah, she's obsessed with him.
Honestly, this is the kind of novel you'd expect to see selling for $1.99 at the supermarket checkout, not winning all sorts of awards. At one point I was half expecting to close the book and find Fabio on the cover, and a glittery vampire, give me a break.
Definitely worth more than $2. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
Yeah, we all hate that. I agree. Frankly, I'm mystified at its popularity. If nothing else, I guess it goes to show what clever marketing and stories of wish fulfillment and so-called forbidden love can do to some women.
I'm trying to think back to like the marketing of Twilight, and I really can't, because you see a lot of books copying characters' plot and the covers of Twilight. And so I think what they did was intriguing. When I discovered Twilight, I had no idea what it was about, and someone had to explain it to me because the covers don't really tell you, oh, this is a vampire human love story. So I don't know about that.
It's made Maya a multi-millionaire, I'm sure,
and turn her publisher into a cash cow. Those are probably both true, but is that a bad thing? Like, she invested so much time and love into this story that has brought so much happiness to people's lives. Like, so why is it bad if she is a millionaire because of it? I don't even know if she is, but like, publishers are trying to make money too, and they chose a good book to publish, so.
I don't begrudge anyone his or her success, but when it comes via a chat like Twilight, it's well more than a tad saddening. Twilight apologists will say that at least young women are reading. I guess you could make that argument, but what kind of logic? You might as well congratulate an anorexic for eating a marshmallow. You need to take a seat, dude, because first of all, you know that it's a 200-page novel, then you say that Bella's talking for 500 pages about Edward. But the biggest thing about this to me, like, the hatred of Bella is so obvious here.
My heart just dropped to my stomach when I read that. This is written by a male as well. His name is Matt. I don't know why he addresses women reading this saga so much. I'm sure there are some males that read the saga as well as Matt. He is a male. I feel like my boyfriend chose this review because he knows I'm a feminist. Not okay. I don't think I can report this review, but not okay. I can't even. I can't even.
This guy hates women. Apparently she's the only one who doesn't realise how beautiful she is. This is the... Have you met a human woman? But I do agree about the sparkles. I don't know where that came from. The funniest scenes are always when Edward is looking like an actual clown. I'm a killer, Bella. Okay, Tinkerbell, whatever you say.
Alright, so now we're going to react to negative reviews over Midnight Sun. So, as most of you probably know if you're watching this video, Midnight Sun just came out this year. I have an entire Countdown to Midnight Sun series I did here on my channel that I will link down below. I have a Twilight playlist. I have a million Twilight videos if you're new here to my channel, so I'll just link the playlist below, and I'll also link just anything related. But yeah, I'll go ahead and let Olivia read this one for you guys.
We're moving on to Midnight Sun. I never want to read again if books like this are allowed to exist. My poor eyes. When I agreed to read this with my flatmate, I thought it would at least be funny and over quickly. This was painful. It's pages and pages of Edward saying he's the most dangerous person alive and only hurting a spider the whole book.
It's true. It's true. He hates himself so much because he's this horrible monster, but he actually, doesn't act like a monster. You know what I mean? The point of his character is that he has this constant internal conflict. I want to be a good guy, and this is who I am now, and I hate who I am, and I just want to be different. He creates his life to be how he wants, and it's still a problem for him right when he meets Bella and even after he's with Bella. But yeah, I totally get what this person is saying here.
Obviously, Edward can read minds, so every conversation he has with anyone other than Bella takes place inside the other person's head, with Edward speaking aloud. There'll be other people in the room, and Edward and Emmett will be just staring at each other in silence.
I do kind of agree with this. I felt like the whole reading the minds thing was a little bit too much. I assumed the Cullens would be doing this. I didn't think they would always be doing it if Edward was around. Like if they're in the cafeteria at school, he's reading their minds, like that makes sense because he can't let other people know that he's reading their minds, but like they're still communicating. That makes sense. But when they're like at home, at the house, like why can they not just talk? Like just talk. I feel like the whole mind thing was played a little too much. So I do kind of agree with that, and I guess she just didn't like that in general, it seems like.
The one thing I did like was the idea that Edward didn't care about human life at all before he met Bella, and the only reason he didn't eat humans was for Carlisle, because that's interesting. Once he meets Bella, he's utterly pathetic.
He does like obsess over this internal conflict, and then once he is obsessed with Bella, it's like if he's not obsessing over Bella, he's obsessing over the internal conflict, and there really is nothing else to his character. But I still think that is interesting for a character, but I agree that there's nothing else to him other than that.
I made a joke in an earlier update about publishing the same book 3 times and still getting the pacing wrong. This book is 756 pages long, and they go to play baseball and kick off the only way plot at around 550. How? I honestly don't think I'll be able to read for a while because of how much this book put me off. I will take your point that this book is too long, but look at the extra content. To me, Midnight Sun was more interesting than Twilight, because Bella, most of what she did was just talk about Edward, it's true, but Edward had all those conversations with the rest of the Cullens. You had the actual thriller-like ending right at the end. To me, it was great. I think that Stephanie took on board a lot of what people were saying about the first book, and the writing to me felt better. We didn't need the book written 3 times. Yes, that's true. But I personally loved seeing the secret conversations that Edward was having inside his head with the rest of the family. It fleshed out the Cullens.
Oh, I kind of agree with the majority of this review, to be honest, because yeah, it is really long. It does take a really long time for like conflict to actually happen, but when you're a young girl, you just want to experience the discovering of Edward and the Cullens, so that's really what you care about anyways.
Only hurting. Okay, he did not only hurt a spider in the book. Do you remember the flashbacks where he went on a killing spree and Carlisle, you know, made him go to the funerals? That was psychotic. But also towards the beginning of the book where he's actually plotting to kill the entire classroom because of his thirst for Bella's blood. That was a good character development, I think, because it did show that danger. Then from Bella's perspective, who just saw him as this floating angel.
Okay, so I was kind of in a reading slump after reading this. I think just because it took me so long to get through, not that I didn't like it, it just took me a minute with like focusing, and it's also a big book. So I was in a slump as well, but it definitely didn't like put me off. She also donated the cost of the book to the Quillette tribe. I will leave the link down below for that. I can't remember the exact organization, but it is a place where you can donate, or an organization where you can donate to help the Quillette tribe move to higher ground, so that they are not constantly dealing with tourists basically because of the Twilight Saga. I think that's what she's talking about, I'm pretty sure. So that will be linked down below. I forgot to say that in the beginning of the video. All right, our next 1-star review is from Lindsay. She says, "Look, I'm doing this for high school Lindsay. She had to suffer through the low-rise jeans phase, so I owe it to her, even though she and I will never be cool with Bella's floor-length khaki skirt." Oh man, this is perfect. I kind of felt the same way. I have to do high school me, well, middle school me in my case, justice. I was already doing my reread of Twilight, so it was perfect when it came out, but I thought the same thing. And the khaki skirt, I think it's the Meadow, right? I think Edward is wearing a khaki vest or something, and then she's wearing a khaki skirt, so they like match. Also, why is Bella, a 17-year-old, like going on a date wearing a khaki skirt? That's hilarious.
Bella's floor length skirt thing, I can't. That is the ugliest thing.
Update, DNF'd at 34%. Girl, you do not rate books when you DNF them, okay? Like, you didn't finish it, so you can't rate. I mean, people can do whatever they want, let's be honest, but you really shouldn't rate books if you DNF them, because how is that a review? You didn't read the entirety of the book to get the full picture and then rate it. 34% is not far at all into a book to review it. Look, I can't do this even for low-rise jeans high school Lindsay. I like to say she'd understand, but the day Stephanie Meyer posted the leaked chapters on her website, high school Lindsay drove to the public library after school just to read them, and she loved them. I did too. I was obsessed with them. I've read them twice before the actual release of Midnight Sun, actually. High school Lindsay was a moron. Edward's point of view adds nothing new to the story. It's mainly just him going on and on and on and on about every little thing, so much so that I, an annoying as fuck overthinker, couldn't tolerate it.
Adds nothing to the story. Oh my god. This should have, to me, I think this should have been the first book in the Twilight series, and then we go to Bella in New Moon. Although that book should have just been skipped entirely, but that's a whole other video. Yes, it was like a monologue. I think it should have been edited down a lot more. All this hatred for himself and kind of denying that Bella loves me, you know, get over yourself. She clearly does, so just take a seat. Yes, okay, it should have been shorter, but Midnight Sun had a lot more scenes if you break down the plot fully. Bella was passed out for the whole ending. Here you had to chase James through the woods. You had to stage the scene at the hotel. Even the baseball scene took so much longer because you had to include all the details from the vampire's perspective. You know, when Jasper was shielding Esme, Alice, and Bella. In the original book, I was genuinely like, why can't James smell Bella? Why is he not paying attention to that corner of the field? Now it's because we know that Jasper was using his emotion power thing to manipulate where James was focusing his eyes, and to me that's extra content. It answered a lot of questions. I think I would have been okay with this 600-page long agony, as you put it, if it included actual flashback scenes where we're in the scene with Edward and the Cullens.
Bella may be one-dimensional, but at least she knows how to move the plot along. Edward is incapable of doing so. I do agree with this to an extent as well. He is an extreme overthinker, and Stephenie Meyer even said that was the reason why the book was so long, because he just overthinks everything. It is very repetitive, so if you don't like that in books, then I would not recommend Midnight Sun. It's true to his character, and she had to keep it true to his character, but I do agree that Bella moves the plot along a little bit quicker, even though they're both equally as obsessed with each other. Edward's point of view doesn't add a lot to the story. It adds the element of him being able to read people's minds. It adds things that he's doing when Bella's not around. So the car chase, you know, when everything was happening with James, that was really cool and unexpected. And we get some more just like behind the scenes stuff with the Cullens and their thoughts and stuff like that. Me personally, I always liked Alice, but after I read Midnight Sun, I fell in love with Alice. I understand the hype for her character now. Alice is just such a badass. Like, she just sees every strand of every possibility of the future at all times, and she's constantly adjusting and like figuring things out, yet she knows like what she's doing, all that. She's just such a badass. Like, I love her so much now. I just feel like we really got to know Alice more, and she was more involved in the story than we thought. Also, a lot of the dialogue didn't really make sense from his point of view. It's almost as if Stephenie Meyer was writing all of these inner monologues for Edward and then remembered she needed to include the dialogue from the first book, so she just plopped it in random places. This is true for part of the book, I do agree. And Stephenie Meyer even said that she had trouble writing the book because of so. When it comes to books like this, it can be hard for authors because they don't get to like be creative. They don't get to come up with new things, and that's more intriguing to them, obviously, than just taking a story and having to write like part for part, you know. So this is somewhat true, but not for the entire book in my opinion. None of his thoughts are snarky or amused, but his dialogue certainly is. The two don't match. I personally think it's a good representation of things you say aren't necessarily things you mean, or you're not able to like translate like what you're thinking or your feelings. And I mean, he is this like angsty teen that doesn't know what to do with his emotions. So I feel like that's pretty on point and in character, in my opinion. I'm aware not everyone says what they're thinking, but there were parts in Twilight where he seemed genuinely amused by Bella, yet none of his thoughts reflected that. Thus, it feels patched together. Really a shame this didn't come out 14 years ago. High School Lindsay would already own a pillowcase at the cover. As it is, present day Lindsay is still suffering from the effects low-rise jeans had on my hips, so I'm not even sorry for quitting this. I do think it's a shame it didn't come out sooner, because now I am more grown and I definitely don't appreciate it as much as I would have back then, 100%.
Well, that was a lot of fun. Hope you enjoyed our reactions. Definitely let us know what you think and hop on over to my channel if you would like to see us freak out about the Cullens, because if you haven't realised through the duration of this video, I am obsessed with that family. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!
And those are all of the negative reviews we're going to be reacting to today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Like I said, I have a ton of Twilight videos on my channel that I will have linked below for you guys, so check them out if you love Twilight as well. I have a lot of other bookish videos, of course, too. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you, Olivia, for being a part of this video. It was a lot of fun. Of course, subscribe if you haven't already, if you feel like it, and I will see you guys in my next one.